What is up, guys, and welcome back to Forest Green Career Mode. This is episode number 3. It's been a little while since the last one, but you know what? There's all things to blame, and university is the only thing I will blame as a result of that. But we are back here. We are back to work. We are back on the grind, I guess you could say, of trying to make Forest Green the team that we want it to be. And we realized, you know, there was one crucial area that needed fixing, that needed repairing, and that was in our midfield. So I went scouting through the free agency because the transfer window had mere hours left before it was shut. I was able to pick up this guy, Chumacero, from the free agency list. He seemed pretty decent, but that was, you know, that was one. We needed another one. We needed to make our defense, our midfield even almost better than League 2, almost to a League 1 standard, to get us ready for the next season. And that's where Figueira came into play as well. Both these men were, of course, they're going to be free signings, but their wages are going to be a lot, so it's a good idea. It's very thankful, I should say, even, that the guy who technically wasn't a part of this team because he was in the squad, though didn't come into FIFA, and Robert did leave before we made these signings, because if it wasn't for him going, we wouldn't have been able to make these signings. But Chumacero and Figueira signed for Forest Green Rovers in the final hours of deadline day. I think there's about 4 hours left when one signing was made, and then maybe 2 when Figueira was made. But there's Chumacero's stats. As you can see, he's not actually the best of... Neither of these guys are that amazing, and they're not exactly like hidden gems or anything, but I'm just hoping for something good from them both so they can help us drive towards the top. That is my main aim from them. And certainly I believe in the case of Chumacero, I did some background knowledge on him, and this guy is, I think he was Peruvian maybe, and apparently in that league he is one of the, this season anyway, apparently he's having a standout season. So maybe I was hoping that could carry over into this career mode, and I kind of needed it fairly soon, but sadly both Chumacero and Figueira weren't available for this game and maybe the next one. If memory serves me correct, they definitely weren't available for this game because they were on international duty, which of course in League 1s and 2 you don't get an international break because you got so many games to play. The Championship, despite having the same amount of games to play as League 2, is a bit more lenient because the quality of play is better, I guess, and they do allow them to go on international break. But anyway, we are here with our lineup once more, the 4-2-3-1, relying on the other defenders that we had, I keep on saying defenders, I mean midfielders that we had, and yeah, things was, I still had confidence in the guys. I mean, Chumacero and Figueira were there to try and make the team switch up formations, which you'll see after this game, but right now we're playing Wickham, and it was a tough start for us, as you can see there, but we were getting things on the go. Brereton and Noble both getting in shots. Early on, we have a follow-up corner, try and take advantage from, and it's played around well. Some good little touch and go, I guess you could say, and Ben Brereton gets really close there, hits the post, but it's Reese Brown who strikes again. The youngster, once more, the hot prospect of Forest Green Rovers, outshining Ben Brereton. The record signing that he was, and he didn't cost us a penny because he was already here. Look at that shot. I mean, it goes down as an own goal for the keeper, but Reese Brown still able to take full advantage of the situation, knock it in and give us an early lead away from home. But Wickham weren't done yet. You see here, Tyson breaks through, but it's an incredible save by Collins to keep the score, for us at least, at a clean sheet. You watch this, the defender, I believe it's Bennett, got totally bested by him, but Collins in there to make that really tough save. We move on a little bit later. They had a free kick, but they couldn't capitalize on it. Brereton now is on a run. He's going to try and look for a counter-attack. He gets a burst of speed, and he's blitzing past the lack there of defense. Brereton runs all the way through, goes down in the box, sadly, and just couldn't get that shot off. He had enough time and he had enough space, and it's a shame that he couldn't do it, but he's right back up to his feet, right back to work, and against the same defenders, knocks it in this time to give us a 2-0 lead. Ben Brereton doubles our advantage, and you can hear the home crowd starting to boo Wickham's performance thus far. It's not even the end of the first half, and the 2 goes down. It's a beautiful bit of control by Brown there to almost flick it before he passes it off, and then Brereton smashes it from that angle, top left corner. You knew it was going in, and Brereton, what a standout performance it's been for him thus far. What a standout talent he is, almost, I guess you could say, for us. Cost a lot of money, but it seems to be paying off, and we weren't done there. Reese Brown plays into Marsh Brown. This link up here between these 3 men into Brereton, and that sealed the game for us. 3-0. Ben Brereton with the second goal. Reece Brown getting the pass off, and it's Marsh Brown who gets in with the assist, and it's a lovely assist as well. Just basically a simple enough pass, and Ben Brereton could just smash that one into that trusty left corner, this time relying on the bottom of it. And we went on to secure the 3-0 win, and listen to that reaction. The boos ring heavily here at Wickham. But it's certainly not going to be any jeering from the Forest Green stands as we celebrate a 3-0 win, as we celebrate another huge win. Clearly, the introduction of team tactics had changed things around, but we weren't all done there. Like I said, we wanted to change around the formation, and that's exactly what we looked for here. 4-3-3 holding in the attempt to be a little bit better, heading forward in an attempt to hold our own kind of in the midfield, looking to kind of work that possession play mixed in with counter-attacking football to our strengths. And what better way than to go with speedy man on the left and the right, and of course Ben Brereton in that central role, pinging in goals left, right and centre hopefully. But there we go, you saw the standings there as we get ready now to face, I think it was, I blanked on it, was it Exeter? Was it maybe? I don't know, I wasn't paying attention to the screen there, but we're at home anyway. We haven't lost, of course, and I think we're sitting in, was it second or third maybe at this point, or I might be over exaggerating, it probably could, but it was definitely top 5 anyways. There we go, it was Exeter. We certainly have jumped up from 10th in the last episode, but it, of course, is such early days in the season that wins are, well, that the gap between everyone is still too close to call, really. How easy it's going to and how hard it's going to be to jump up positions. But you see Exeter's lineup there, basic 4-4-2, and one that maybe we can exploit, this new formation. Will it find us success? Well, it didn't really early on, as they were able to get their way through, and it's an absolute wonder save by Collins to keep us at deadlock early on. You look at this shot here by Brunt, and it's a foot that Collins has to get out to make the save. Woeful defending early on. Collins trying to whip him into shape essentially there. But we move on a little bit later. Coming back from an attack now. Traore. Lovely little ball up into Reece Brown, playing on that right wing. And Brown is waiting for Brereton to get in the box. And he does so. Unmarked. Headers it in. Ben Brereton with another goal. Reece Brown once again with that assist. The star man, the star lineup between these two men. The linkage between the players for the future panning out in an incredible fashion there. I know the focus technically should have been on Chumacero and Figueira, their first game at home and their first game for the club, but it's Reece Brown and Ben Brereton stealing all the headlines right now, but it wasn't all they wrote there. Exeter trying to give us a little bit of a scare, trying to mind us that they were still in it. At that moment they're hitting the post. Thankfully for us, of course, it stayed 1-0. But this year, second half, Exeter's defensive line has been pushed up high as they try and force a counter-attack maybe. But it's Ben Brereton who's making sure that Exeter's attack has got a hell of a lot more work to do. 2-0 and another brace for Ben Brereton. 2 in 2 games for this man. What another goal it was. It was a lovely bit of just simple passing play by James, I think, who brought it into Collins, and then Collins got it into Ben Brereton with that over-the-top through ball, and the control by Brereton while under pressure to knock that one in. Just goes to show how much potential is in this youngster. But Exeter, despite being 2 down, weren't willing to prove that we were out of the woods yet. 2-1 by Exeter, and a chance for them to get right back into what I found kind of weird, and I think this must be a thing that just happens on FIFA's, is even though they are, they've scored a goal, they're still 2-1 down, and there's still enough time for them to get the equaliser, but they instead choose to do a default celebration and just, act as if it's an incredible thing. It's only half the gap, and they were still 1 goal behind, and it ended that way, sadly for them. They lost 2-1, and it was another win to celebrate. And I should have got the clip in there, but apparently I must have deleted it like a bell end. Anyway, we move on here to a simmed game at home once more, this time against Lincoln City. Felt pretty confident about this one, 2 wins on the bounce. Things are looking good for us right now. Maybe we can take this another victory here. Couldn't play Ben Brereton. He was a little bit out of fatigue, and that was really kind of where the difference maker was. You see him not on the pitch, and just kind of nothing was going on there. It ends 2-2, and you see no Brown, actually, no Brereton either. Kind of brings into worry that our attacking front and our ability to win games comes from those two. And yeah, a draw was kind of a bit that's all I can really say. It felt a little bit off, to lose that game, to draw that game even when it should have been 2 points. But we couldn't I guess, moan about it. We couldn't sit there and whine about it. We had business to attend to. We had business we needed to move on to, and we had to go away to Port Vale, who, as you saw, were very close to us in the league. If memory serves me correct, I think heading into this game, Port Vale had conceded the lowest amount of goals in the Football League 2, and we had scored the most, which meant that it was kind of a best of the best, really. Like, how would the defense be able to cope with our attack? And that maintained to be seen. But it was our defense that had to cope with their attack here as they get a run into the box, trying to make it life difficult for them. But Lade goes and makes life a bit too difficult for them, and a bit, well, certainly far too difficult for himself, giving away a penalty. You see here on the replay, essentially just shoves him down and puts a forearm in his face. Can't argue against the penalty. Could argue that the guy maybe did go to ground a little bit too easy, but Pope here looking to take one huge run up, his crowd behind him, and he doesn't let them down. Fires it into the right-hand corner. Nothing Collins could have done, really, considering he went the wrong way as well. But it was Pope who got them the early lead, and Port Vale certainly seemed happy about it, as did the goal scorer himself. But it was still very early days. Only 15 minutes into the game, we've been able to see Leeds slip away from that kind of area. I mean, I'm pretty sure our first game against Barnet, we had already scored at that point and pissed it away. But we weren't looking to sit in the back seat. We weren't looking to just play it safe. Chuma Cerro scores his first goal for the club. Despite supposed to be in that midfielder role, he was one of the midfielders in the team tactics, so I told to come forward on attack, and it paid dividends there. Chilling on the edge of the box, essentially, and he was able to play it into him for the equaliser. And who else to put us in the lead but Ben Brereton, back on the score sheet. We miss him for one game, and he shows up and he's the difference maker. Within minutes, we go from 1-0 down to 2-1 up. Figueira gets the assist on that one, and Ben Brereton once more wreaking havoc for goalkeepers in League 2. But it didn't last that long. End of the first half, and Port Vale have equalised it. 2-2 the score. The skipper is the one to get the equaliser as well, and what an equalising shot it was. Bit of luck from the post, but he did not give it. One hell of a boot. Ball there, I think it was, I can't actually make out who that was. I want to say that might be Collins who loses the ball. And then he's all on his own. Look, this huge gap for him to just shoot down the middle of two defenders there, just basically standing one next to the other. Makes life way too easy for him. And we headed into the break 2-2 instead of 2-1, but a phenomenal ball played up to Reece Brown. He's not giving in here. Plays the ball in. Chuma Cerro practically unmarked in the box, and it's 3-2. He may well have picked up an injury at some point during the game, but I wasn't going to stop him from getting a brace and putting us back in the lead of this game once more. That ball into Brown so well, and he does so well with it as well while under pressure. Chuma Cerro played in. 3-2. Game looking like it just needs one more goal to be sealed, and that's exactly what we looked for here. The corner didn't go the way we wanted it to. We had Bennett, a centre-back, on the edge of the box. Laird takes a deflection. Brown takes a deflection. Comes into Brereton. Beautiful chest. And it's a goal. And it's another brace for Ben Brereton. What? Oh, it's more like Ben... yeah, I'm not even going to try and make a Dybala pun there. Never mind. Ben Brereton, though, makes it 4-2 away from home. And this control with his chest just... absolutely, I just love it. Look at that defender there. Tries to take it off him. Tries to do a bit of an ambitious kick. And he's able to control it so well on his feet and knock it into the corner. What more can I ask for from Ben Brereton? And Port Vale were not happy about it. They took a lead, then they drew the game, and then they blew it all away in the second half. We came out with that fire that they didn't have and took a 4-2 win as a result of it. Meaning when we headed back home to take on Swindon Town in the final game of this episode, we were, and this is no joke because you're going to see it right now, we were leading League 2, still undefeated. The only team, it seems, in the top 10. Aside from Notts County to have that right, but things were just looking great for us, to be fair. To bounce back from those wins from the deficit that we had against Port Vale, to humiliate Wickham essentially like we did at the start of this episode, everything was looking great for us, and we just needed one game here to kind of seal it off, to just really make this episode what we needed it to be, make this episode a great one, and just prove this is how Forest Green are destined for greatness, really, under Daddy ProJaked. But Swindon were not interested in that. They were interested in making our life living hell, and for whatever reason, we couldn't get anything going against them. We played awful, and this is one of the main examples. The first goal that goes in, I mean, Bennett just basically drifts off. He drifts off to sleep halfway through, and he allows this man to come in and score to give Swindon the lead there, but halfway through the first half, you'll see it here on the replay. The ball's played in here to Bennett, and he just shuts down, essentially. He couldn't even keep up with Smith, and it's in the back of the net. It's 1-0. Collins comes out. It's a good idea by Collins, but Smith was always in a scoring position, it seemed, and there was nothing that could be done there. Brown, though, just a few minutes later, finds a lovely ball into John Carlos, but unfortunately, he can't finish it, and we're still 1-0 down in this one. We have to wait until the second half now to try and have a shot at equalising it. But it's another breakthrough for Swindon. Ikovitti should have done better there. He comes back to try and defend it, but it's all in vain. It's 2-0 at home. And us as the league leaders look to be heading towards our first league defeat of the season. Despite, of course, getting off to a great start and despite being arguably one of the weakest teams in League 2. Ikovitti there, his decision to slide in, I think, was the decision maker that allowed him to just shoot, and maybe Collins should have done better, but it was a really awkward angle for him. But we weren't ready to give in. James plays a ball in. Noble with one-touch football, and it's Ben Brereton with another goal. But there was almost no time to celebrate this one. We had to move on. We had to try and get that equaliser. There was still plenty of time for us to try and make it 2-2 and take home a point. Keep this undefeated streak going. I like just the one-touch pass from Brereton. Not too sure how he stayed on side. I would like to assume it's the fullback out of shot who left him on side. And at an angle like that, well, you know, Ben Brereton's not going to miss with the incredible episode he's been having thus far. 7 goals for him in this episode, I believe it was. But it wasn't enough. He couldn't get another brace. While he couldn't bag his 4th brace of the episode, what we bagged was something that we'd rather forget. Our first loss of the season at home as well, to a team that doesn't look to be doing anything special. Swindon, as you can see, they're in 13th. We dropped down to 3rd as a result of that loss, and Notts County fly up into the top spot. But we're still optimistic, and we're still not looking to give up here. It is still way too early days in the season to throw the towel in just yet, and we know in the next episode we got to bounce back and get ourselves up into that top spot. That'll end this episode of Cream Mode. Thank you for watching, though. Take it, guys, and Sarah.